to another vlog. It is July the 8th. It's Penny's 15th birthday. I'll be sure to show her later, even if she is camera shy. Like, 15 is a milestone. She's the oldest dog I've ever had now. I also got a new phone case because my old one broke after 3 years. This one has a polar bear on it because they're one of my hyper fixations. I wouldn't say a hyper fixation, but they're a fixation at the moment. I like polar bears at the moment, so I got a polar bear phone case. But I do want to show y'all the weekly TBR. I was just like laying in bed, so I'm like, I am all crazy right now. So it's a shadow. Okay. The first thing, I finished the first book in this poetry collection, but Goodreads counts it as one whole thing. So I will be starting Weary Waiting for Love by R.M. Drake and R.H. Sin tomorrow. This is It Shines Light on the Resilience of Optimism and Peace, which hopefully it does that because it's great. And then I'm about to start in about 10 minutes The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I am going to be doing the audiobook, and literally this tells you nothing. It's like everyone's a neighbor, everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling. See you in Paris. So that is the TBR pick that I will be starting here in a little bit. And then I do have a mood reading pick that my friend Sarah got for me. This is Echo by Thomas Oldhovot. This is a translated horror. And that might be my first array into translation horrors. And oh, my phone's going off. Ignore that. So this is Nature is Calling, but they shouldn't have answered. I will go more into what this is about when we start it. But we're starting so many new books this week. And then my ebook is An Echo in the Bone by Dana Gabaldon. This is the 7th book in the Outlander series. This is following a family at the start, or not the start, we're kind of in the midst of the American Revolution with some time travel elements. And that's my weekly TBR. But I do have book mail. So I did get 2 books in the mail. And the first one is A Stolen Life, a memoir by J.C. Duggard. So every time I saw this, I thought it was about like the Duggars. Like, is that what those people are called? Where they had like a reality show and the brother was a creep. So it's not though. And this got compared to some books I've given 5 stars to. I think it was No Exit and Night Crawling. But it says in the summer of June of 1991, I was a normal kid. I did normal things. I had friends and a mother that loved me. I was just like you until the day my life was stolen. So she was kidnapped and everything, and was, you know, imprisoned by that guy for 18 years. That's insane. And then this one is, I don't know what number in the series we're at now, but The Lily and the Lion by Maurice Druin, which is in the Accursed Kings series. And then I did get my book of the month package. So I got like 3 free books in this, which is the majority, and that's awesome. My pick this month was 1,000 Times Before by Asha Thinky. And this is, it doesn't say the genre anymore on the back, a heart-rending family saga following 3 generations of women connected by a fantastic tapestry through which they inherit the experiences of those who have lived before them, sweeping readers from partition era India to modern day Brooklyn. That sounds right up my alley. I love the colors of this cover. Also, I have yet to have caffeine and I am feeling it, so that's why I'm all jumbled. And then this one, big, they have it at Target, but it would ultimately, I got it for free at Book of the Month, so like why wouldn't I do that? This is The Demon of Unrest by Eric Larson, a saga of hubris, heartbreak, and heroism at the dawn of the Civil War. I have yet to read any of his books, so this will be my first foray. That's in South Carolina, by the way. That's Fort Sumter, where the first shots of the Civil War were fired. Then I have Margot's Got Money Troubles by Ruthie Thorpe. A bold, laugh-out-loud, funny, and heartwarming story about one young woman's attempt to navigate adulthood, new motherhood, and her meager bank account in our increasingly online world. So that's what that one's about. And then this one, so all those I showed you I got for free, and then these are the 2 I paid for. This is The Disappearance of Astrid Breitgard by Natasha Lester. And this is in 1973. Oh, I did get some damage up there, I'm just realizing, but okay. In 1973, rising fashion star Astrid Reichard disappeared at the legendary Versailles Designers Showdown. All that remained was a scrap of fabric. And lastly, I got this fantasy book, which is Kayaki, I don't think I'm saying that right, by Vaishnavi Patel. This is So begins her story, the one daughter of the true kingdom of Hikaya. She is raised on tales of gods, how they churn the vast ocean to obtain the nectar of immortality, and how they vanquish evil and ensure the land of Bharat prospers, and how they offer power boons to the worthy. Yet she watches her father unceremoniously banishes her mother, listens as her own worth is reduced to the marriage alliance she can secure, and when she calls upon the gods for help, they never seem to hear. Those are all books I got today in this lovely blue box. Hey guys, I just got done reading in the Paris apartment today. I read a little over a quarter of the book, which was 100 pages exactly. Here are my tabs. I am annotating in the month of July. So let's get into my thoughts. I actually went and looked at Goodreads because I had to put the book into Goodreads, you know, because that's where you keep up with your reading. And I saw a lot of people do not like this book. So it has about somewhere around 500,000 ratings on Goodreads, which is a ton, and it has an average rating of a 3.66. So that's a fine book. It's a good book, and definitely this is nothing special for the first quarter of it. So let's go through Call Pal first. Characters. I find our main character is it Jess? Is that her name, or is it Jessie? Jess. Okay. I find her annoying. Yeah. And I don't think there's going to be good character development in this book, at least not yet. And okay, so why do I find her annoying? She has a lot of pent-up anger. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. I mean, she just got done working at a bar, so we know she's at least an adult. And there's just a lot of pent-up anger. I'm like, if you have all this frustration towards your brother, you need to be grown up about it and tell him and talk it out and fix things, rather than just having all that pent up. I just find her annoying how she's going about life. And the other characters I don't know enough about to tell you anything about them. But I think Nick has been my favorite so far, point of view. As for atmosphere, it hasn't done anything crazy for me. Like, it's fine. We're in Paris. We're in like this Gothic apartment building that even has cellars underneath. It was something to do with the Gestapo. Is it called the Gestapo when it was in France? The book said Gestapo, so we're gonna assume that's right. Also, the audiobook will use more British terms rather than American. Like in the written book, it's Americanized, but in the audiobook, it's British, as Lucy Foley does live in London. And writing is pretty dry. I'm curious of what happened to Ben, but at the same time, I'm not gripped. I'm not on the edge of my seat or anything, which I expect that from a thriller. And plot, that falls into plot as well. I'm not gripped. I do think the book is lacking some logic, and we will talk about that. So let's go to the tabs. The first tab is, I think Jess will be annoying. I realized that 13 pages into the book. So I think all these neighbors, so I think Ben was killed. Don't know if he was. And again, this is literally only on like the second chapter of the book, so no spoilers. But I think all these people in the back are in on this, and they killed him or had somebody kill him. I don't know. Then I have a love tab. This was on Nick's. I haven't really moved in because I like the idea that I could up and leave at any moment. I just like that line, thought it was nice. We have a plot tab up here. I'm like, why? Why in all these books do people not just call the police? Just why? Because I'm like, you think your brother could be murdered, but you're not going to call the police. Murder. That you like, I get it if maybe you had something to do with the murder, but like I don't think so. So why? This is how people die. Then So as I was telling you about the seller with like the Gestapo and all that, so she's like, somebody could have been watching her through that. She's like, or it could have been made more recently. Someone could have been watching Ben through here. Someone could have been watching me. But like, why would they be watching your brother? Why would they be watching you? People aren't just gonna go watch somebody for a random reason, like for no reason. Then we had 2 on this one. This is when at page 85, I just realized the writing's dry, and oxycodone got mentioned, and I was like, here we go again. My last book was Demon Copperhead, where oxy plays a big thing, and now we're in another book that's a book by a UK author. And this one, yeah, how this was kind of what I was thinking. A new possibility. Could that, because Ben is a reporter or some kind of writer. A new possibility. Could that be it? Ben dug too deep into something, pissed off someone nasty, and he's had to, what? Do a runner, disappear? Or I don't want to think about all the other possibilities. So that was my first theory when I first started, you know, for the first chapter. I thought that, but now I think all the people at the apartment are in on this and killed this guy. We don't even know if this guy's dead, but I just think he is. So that's where we got to in there. It's fine. It's like a 3-star, but we will see where it goes throughout this vlog. I just rewatched last night's episode of House of the Dragon, and whew, it flew by. Like, that episode, so good. But I am here to talk about Echo. Let's find out together what this book's about. Obviously at one point I knew, but it's been a while. Let's see, 2022. So she got me this for my birthday 2 years ago, and I'm just getting to it. So let's see here. Travel journalist and mountaineer Nick Grevers wakes from a coma to find that his climbing buddy Augustin is missing and presumed dead. Nick's own injuries are as extensive as they are horrifying. With his face wrapped in bandages and unable to speak, Nick claims amnesia, but he remembers everything. Ooh. He remembers that he and Augustin were mysteriously drawn to the Maudit, a remote and scarcely documented peak in the Swiss Alps. Is this going to be like a missing 411? He remembers how the slopes of Maudit were eerily quiet, and how when they entered its valley, they got the ominous sense that they were not alone. Guys, that is the worst. The last time I had that, I was in a place, at the time I didn't know it was haunted, but it was, and I'm like, yeah. But okay. He remembers something was waiting for them, but it wasn't just the trauma of the accident that haunts Nick. Something has awakened inside of him, something that endangers the lives of everyone around him. It's one thing to lose your life. It's another to lose your soul. So this is a thrilling descent into madness and obsession as one man confronts nature. Something even more ancient and evil answers back. Ooh, so I think this would be classified as horror. And on the back, we have blurbs from Stephen King and George R. Martin. Might I say goats of their genres. So I'm gonna get into this, and once I get to 25% in it, I will stay now. But I totally forgot to show Penny yesterday on her birthday. She's very camera shy, so here she is in her little bed. I just woke her up filming this. Like, I am so sorry for waking you, Queen Bean. I'm so sorry, but she's 15 years old now. I did have my hair pinned back, my bangs, just, that's why not. But it came undone. Okay, so I haven't brushed my hair, but I do have a package here. I got some book mail, and I totally meant to do this part before turning on the camera, you know, marking out the address and all. I have my leftovers that I'm having for lunch heating up, but we got some book mail, and I totally used to have scissors in my room, but I cannot find them anywhere. So I don't know where they are, because I was looking for them last night because I had to get a new phone charger thing out because my old one broke, and I had to open the packaging that the phone charger comes in, but I could not find scissors anywhere in my room, so I had to like go to start the house at 1 in the morning. But we do have a new release, and that is Long Island Compromise by Taffy Brochure Ackner. This is set in Long Island, in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 1980. I associate Long Island and pretty much all of the Mid-Atlantic with the 1980s. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because my dad grew up in the Mid-Atlantic and he was like in his, like in the early 80s, he was in his teens. So I don't know if that's just because from his stories, I just picture all as the 80s, and then a lot of 80s, and then like Bon Jovi and like those kind of bands are from the Mid-Atlantic 80s, and a lot of the 80s like influence, like they dress like it's the 80s, are from like New Jersey, New York, so it all gets thrown into the 1980s. But let's see, my food's done. But an exhilarating novel about one American family, the dark moment that shatters their suburban paradise, and the wild legacy of trauma and inheritance. Long Island Compromise spans the entirety of one family's history, winding through decades and generations, all the way to the outrageous present, and confronting the mainstays of American Jewish life: tradition, the pursuit of success, the terror of history, fear of future, old wives' tales, evil eyes, ambition, achievement, boredom, diebucks, inheritance, pyramid schemes, right-wing capitalists, beta blockers, physics, and the mostly unspoken love and shared experience that unite a family forever. I got you over the halfway point in the Paris apartment, and I'm not going to say my theories were wrong or right, but basically we kind of know, we have an idea of what is happening now, and I'm going to read y'all my notes. Okay, we had this whole paragraph about Mimi going out to the record store, and I'm like, they're trying to build her character, but we literally do not need all these details. Then I have a character tab. That was our main thing today. Just come on, like, she didn't want, Jessie didn't want her name in the French police system, and I understand why she did what she did, but at the same time I'm like, why? Okay. Yeah, I think Ben and Jessie might be the bad people. I don't agree with the things they're doing. Jessie's obviously a kleptomaniac, and like, she's stealing stuff and feels no remorse about it. Like, stealing small things like soap and I get it, it's, she grew up, we don't want to stereotype people, but she grew up in the foster system, so she didn't always have a lot, so I understand the stealing, but I don't know, feel some remorse. You're a 28-year-old woman at this point. And then I'm like, could this person be a crazed stalker? Then this one, Jess is constantly having pity parties for herself. I'm like, you are 28 years old. Grow up, move on. You have to accept what you went through and grow from it. It's so annoying to see a childish main character. Then just all of this of our plot where it's like, what the, like, our character literally said that, what the actual, and I laughed at that bit, but I'm like, what, like, all this is happening, and then I was like, is this person then? And it is just all happening. But to that being said, y'all know the character is extremely annoying me, but I am intrigued by this mystery and what is happening, and I read 105 pages today. So there's my update on the Paris. I just got home. I went by the doggy daycare, so I have Delilah getting ready to take a test to see if she behaves, which I do think she will, because she's never shown any aggression towards anything. She's never been aggressive in her life, so hopefully it will go well. That will probably be next week though, but you had to do it, you had to go in person. I guess you probably could have done it over the phone, but you couldn't do it on their website. But I did go to Target after that, and I do want to, it's Target Circle Week, so they're having the books buy two get one free, and I'm sorry if I flipped you off, I didn't mean to do that. But then also the books, y'all know are discounted. So I got Hello Beautiful. I saw this on the New York Times. A book that I had read, they suggested reading this book. This is William Waters grew up in a house silenced by tragedy, where his parents could hardly bear to look at him, much less love him. So when he meets the spirited and ambitious Julia Padavano in his freshman year of college, it's as if the world has lit up around him. With Julia comes family, as she and her 3 sisters are inseparable. Sylvie, the family's dreamer, is happiest with her nose in a book. Soya is a free-spirited artist, and Emmeline patiently takes care of them all. With the Padavanos, William experiences a newfound contentment. Every moment in their house is filled with loving chaos. An exquisite homage to Louisa May Alcott's timeless classic Little Women. Hello Beautiful is a profoundly moving portrait of what is possible when we choose to love someone not in spite of who they are, but because of it. Ooh, that sounds like so nice. Then I did get a fantasy that I discovered through Books with Brittany. This is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. An assassin for the rebellion group, as an assassin for the rebellion group, Fier de Duath, Rave's job is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter turns her world upside down, blood spills, hearts break, and Rave finds herself imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful fae who turn her into a political statement. Echoes of the past race between them. There's more to their story than meets the eye, but truths are too poisonous to swallow. Look how big this is. Yeah, it's about 700 pages. And lastly, I was like, which book am I going to get for free? This is one that I see everywhere for the historical fiction genre, which is my favorite genre. So I was like, if it's so like critically acclaimed, then I should probably check it out. And that is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. Let's see what this one's about. In 1972, when workers in Pottstown, Pennsylvania were digging the foundations for a new housing development, the last thing they expected to uncover was a human skeleton. Who the skeleton was and how it got buried there were just 2 of the long-held secrets that had been kept for decades by the residents of Chicken Hill, the dilapidated neighborhood where immigrant Jews and African Americans live side by side, sharing ambitions and sorrows. As the novel unfolds, it becomes clear how much the people of Chicken Hill have to struggle to survive at the margins of white Christian America, and how damaging bigotry, hypocrisy, and deceit can be to a community. When the truth is revealed about the skeleton, the boy, and the part the town's establishment played in both, McBride shows that it is love and community, heaven and earth that ultimately sustain us. So those are the books I got at Target. I'm going to go eat some, whatever this meal is called we talk about all the time. We're going to call it dinner. No, this is more so supper. I don't know. I saw in Appalachia, they call your 12 o'clock meal dinner and then your nighttime meal supper. Very interesting. Here, at least in my family, those terms are interchangeable. Dinner and supper are the same thing, and that's your nighttime meal. But I have 4 meals a day rather than 3, so it's kind of confusing. But I have been reading The Paris Apartment today, and yeah, I'll update y'all later. Time to update y'all on The Paris Apartment. I got to 85%, and literally I just got Pepsi, or I think this is Coke that I'm drinking. I put them both down at the same time. I've never had this happen, and the drink splashed all over my book. You can kind of see on the bookmark where it got wet. Never had that happen before. But let's go into my thoughts, and y'all know I only have to mark where I will be vlogging at. Where is my pencil? Okay. So I got to page 313. Okay. So I know what pages we're going to be talking about here. So where did we start at? We started all the way back here. My first tab of the day is like, yeah, she's a stalker. How I told you I thought somebody was a stalker earlier. They're all kind of stalkers, if I'm being honest, except like the adults, you know, like the parents. And I was like, Ben's using Nick. He's using him. And then literally a few pages later, oh, there was one character who I thought one of his big secrets was what it was. And they said somewhere about that Ben is using you. Yeah, you know he used you, right? And I was like, I predicted that. And yes, another tab is, this is the most predictable thriller I've ever read in my life. I'm literally predicting everything. I might not predict it right away, but I do predict it at some point. Nick is my favorite, but I want more of a backstory on Sophie, and I do think we're going to get more of that in the last 15% of the book. I just think she's a super interesting character with her backstory. And then all your questions, she says, all of your looking, you are only making trouble for yourself. You cannot help your brother now. You must understand that. And I'm like, yeah, at the concierge, she gets it. She knows that Jess shouldn't be messing all around. And then I know her, and I was like, who's it gonna be? But I did get that wrong. I did get that wrong. And then they all feel like parts of the same puzzle about all these different plot points. And I'm like, yeah, it's extremely obvious. Everything is connected. And the rest are character tab. Oh, there's one orange tab. We have a blue one. So just theories here. But I can't say. But I will say I was correct on my theory. That was on page 274. And then, yeah, nobody in this book is a good person. Not the victims, not the perpetrators. Nobody in this book is a good person. And I've read books like that that are great. You have to do that properly. And in here, no, it's not done properly at all. So if you really want to read about a bunch of bad people with no redeeming qualities, check out the Paris Apartment. And we do have a orange tab here. Yeah. Where the guy shaved in the sink, so there are hairs in the sink, the girl literally picks them up with her finger and swallows them. I legit wanted to gag. I rarely gag, so I didn't actually gag, but I was just like, what? That is literally disgusting. So gross. I also think you don't have a bad bone in your body. He's wrong. Everybody in this book is bad. So there are my thoughts. We're on track to finish that tomorrow. And obviously I will update y'all when we finish. Happy Thursday. I just had a phone call with one of my friends and then my dad. But yeah, I've been up since like 6 something in the morning because I had to take Bud to get fixed today. Y'all saw at the start of the vlog, Bud in her cage and all. So we take her there at 8 because they get there at 8, but the surgery was going to be at 10 and it's currently 11:09. And this sounds like I'm amping it up like something terrible happened. I didn't. Like, oh no, Bud is fine and is out of surgery and it's all good. So the vet went to shave the belly because, you know, so they could cut her open. And once she shaved Bud, she saw there was a scar already on Bud's stomach. So the vet was like, I'm pretty sure that she's already been fixed. But obviously we don't want kittens running around. So she's like, I can go inside and see if she is or not. So we gave her the okay to do that because, again, we don't want kittens. So the vet was pretty sure that she had been fixed, but you know, wanted that 100% confirmation. So the vet went in and sure enough, Bud has been fixed before. And so Bud is still back up and I'm going to pick her up in about 4 hours at 3 o'clock. So this is all very interesting because, okay, my dad asked how old I thought Bud was when we got her. She was a feral cat, so I think it was probably a trap and release program. But yeah, I saw a trap and release program a few weeks ago, but that's a whole different story. That wasn't at my house, that was in a whole different town. So that would be the best bet, is that's what I think. That's not what the vet has said or anything. So I thought when I first started seeing Bud, I thought she was around 1 year old. I'm not sure. I asked my dad to see if the vet said anything about age, because I think they can tell by teeth. But again, I don't really know. So yeah, it's like, what is the story there? Was it a trap and release? Did she have a family before? Because when I got her, she was very, even now, is scared around humans other than my family. She, before she even would let me pet her, she would hiss at me if I got too close and any of that. So she was very feral before. That makes me think that she didn't have a human family before. So that's why I think it was a trap and release situation. But at the same time, it's like, what if, I know cats can sometimes revert to being feral. So yeah, it's very interesting. That's not how I was expecting it to go. I was so scared that they would open her up and she'd be pregnant or something. That terrified me. Cat abortion or something. Like, I did not want to think about that. Like, that was what I was really scared of. And when my dad like texted me, because I was on the phone with my friend and I was like, I gotta go, because my dad's saying to call him. And so I thought that was going to be what had happened. They were like, do you want to have an abortion or not? Like, that's what I thought it was going to be. But it was that she had already been fixed. So very odd. Since I have nothing to do and I have to pick up Bud at 3, which is my typical reading hour, it's currently 1:11. I'm going to just go ahead and get into the Paris apartment for the day and hopefully finish this book today. I have about 35 to 40 pages left. I don't remember exactly how many pages there are in the book, but less than 400. So I'm gonna go attempt to finish this one. I finished the Paris apartment and doing Call Palette got a 2.85, so I'm just gonna put that as a 3. So let's go into all my thoughts. I feel like this is really zoomed in, but it's not really. I don't know, but characters I gave a 2. There were just no characters that you could root for in this. I did like Sophie, as I said, or Sophie and Nick. I do wish there had been more building on Sophie's backstory, but our 2 like victim characters I thought were unlikable, and I thought that they put themselves in these situations, which I hate saying that, but they effed around and found out. Basically, they messed around and they found out. So I'm like, y'all got yourselves in this situation. And then, yeah, so that's for the characters. The atmosphere, I give a 3. Like, it was fine. We're in Paris. It's fine. Like, there were never any, like, I've heard people say this is supposed to be kind of gothic because they're in an old apartment building, but no, I never got like gothic vibes, or I never was really put on edge by it. And then for writing, it was a 3. I do think that it was rather dry, and then some bits they tried to do a little more, but they just did too much. And then plot, this one, so I recently discovered the difference in plot and intrigue. Plot is what straight up you would read on the back of the book. This is what happens. And this tells you literally nothing. It's just everyone in this house is a suspect. And yeah, that's fine. It was good. And then the intrigue, I did up the intrigue a little bit. I gave it a 4 because it was predictable. Oh, so should I lower that? This was the most predictable thriller I've ever read, but I was still curious of how they were how everything was going to come about. Logic, I gave it 2 because some of it was just like, what the? And then my enjoyment, yeah, it was a fine book. It was a 3-star, and that's what it ended up getting. So I'm going to write my book review now, and then I am going to start a graphic novel because I only read my TBR picks on weekdays, and there are only 2 weekdays left of the week, so I think that would be the perfect time to read a graphic novel rather than starting a whole long novel. Totally didn't tell y'all what Alison by Lizzie story is about. This is a graphic novel. So Alison is a newly married, barely 20, and struggling to find her place in the world. A chance encounter with an older artist upturns her life, and she forsakes convention and her working class Dorset roots for the thrumming art scene of London in the late 70s. As the thrill of bohemian romance leads inevitably to disappointment, Alison begins to find her own path through art, friendship, and love. And now that I think about that this is about an artist, I think that's super cool. That's a graphic novel because, I mean, it is art, you know, like it's drawings. But this is a very interesting, oh, I didn't see the title page. And this is a signed copy, by the way. I got this from Shakespeare and Company by subscription box. They have paragraphs on the pages as well, but there are some pages that are just like comics. Oh, she's naked on one of those, so hold on. So there's some where it is strictly comics, and some that do have prose as well. So it's a very interesting format. And as I said, since it is like drawing, I think this is more so paintings, really. And it's about a girl learning to paint so far. So I think that's a really interesting way to do that story, tell that story. So that is what I started. I am really hungry though. I will probably be picking up Bud soon. It's 3:24 right now, and I have till 5 o'clock I said him to pick her up. And I don't know if I'm going to get to talk to the vet or anything, but I would love to talk about my theories and tell her all about how I found Bud, or how Bud found me, really. I didn't find her, she found me. I would love to talk about that with her. So I don't know if I'm going to get the chance. And if I'm not going to ask if I don't see her directly, because I know that she is probably a very busy woman. And me talking about theories of why my cat was already spayed is not as important when there are animals that need to be seen and need help and all of that. But that is, and I can't wait to see my dad and see my family to talk about it, because I've talked about it with my friends and with you guys, but I'm like, I really want to talk about it. I got to 80% in Alison by Lizzie Stewart. I keep wanting to say Alison because House of the Dragon, she's one of my favorite characters, book and show. So it's Alison, because in my head, I don't read out loud, but you know, there's a voice in my head when I'm reading, and I kept saying Alison, and I'm like, it's Alison, not Alicent. So let's go through my thoughts. Is this the first graphic novel I've read this year? It might be. It might be. So characters. I think Alison is a character that a lot of people can relate to, even though she was born in 1958. I think the human experience, there's things every human is going to experience. We're all going to experience emotions, heartbreak, love, all of that. Since the start of time, people have been experiencing that. It doesn't matter what time period they're in. And that's the thing, because at first I was like, I would definitely recommend this to, sorry, the stool thing that I sit on, it's one of the legs is messed up. So I started out by wanting to recommend this to women in like their 20s and their 30s, so people my age. But then I was like, no, I think every woman, every person could relate to this book. How in your 20s, sometimes it's your relationships around you build your character as a person, and then sometimes you have to branch away from that and find yourself, and that's a beautiful thing. It doesn't only stem from a positive thing. Sometimes you have to go through heartbreak to stem away, and that's awful, but you do gain experience, you gain wisdom, so there's something to be gained in everything. And I think Alison, I almost said Alison again, Alison has done, it is a real perfect example of that. We're following her all through her life so far. We've spent almost 40 years at this point. Atmosphere, I know we're going through Call. I don't know if that's the right way to go through this, but I think I'm gonna actually talk about the art style. I love the use of color and shading in this, and I haven't really thought of shading in a very long time. Maybe not since the last time might have been when I was an art student in high school, and I don't think I've really thought about it much since. I've done it in drawing, but yeah, I haven't really thought of it when I look at art. And I think in this one, it's done a great job. Shadings in this, just for the different stages of life and the different emotions. Because most of this is just in one color palette. But yeah, the use of color and shading is really good. And I told you I really like the plot. I don't know how this is about an artist living a bohemian lifestyle, and that it's in the form of a graphic novel is really cool. I really like that aspect. And I'm like, I wonder how that was as an artist, making a book about an artist, but using art and not prose to do that. I would really like to know about Lizzie Stewart's process making this book. I don't know. Okay, there is an acknowledgement section. I always get scared looking at the back because I don't want to spoil myself for the end. So yes, I am really enjoying this. It's probably around a 4-star. Do I usually rank graphic novels, or do I only do it when it's a 5-star? But I would say it's a 4-star. I am really enjoying it. I read 140 pages in there today. So we've read quite a bit of pages today, and I still plan to get into Echo later, and I think I will have an update for y'all on Echo. Fingers crossed, maybe, but if not, the next clip will be my wrap-up of the week for you guys. So I'm gonna go have some soup, because that's what I want for dinner. That's what I'm craving. I'm gonna have some bread with it. Some like buttery bread. I know that sounds like such a bland dinner, but that's just what I'm wanting. And I love that I didn't get too hot today in this. It was in the 90s here today, but this morning when I was out at like 7 in the morning, there was humidity, it was 67%, but there was such a nice breeze and it just felt so nice outside. So today's weather, I have done stuff outside. I worked in my garden earlier, but it's been really nice. So that's only as a bonus. So if I said that Bud is home and she's healthy and all that, I don't want to show her on the camera because she's still I don't think she's drugged up anymore, but when I first brought her home, I don't want to disrespect my cat, I guess. Her eyes were kind of wonky, which the nurse or the vet tech said that is just because she's still coming off the drugs. And then I had to give her some painkillers because y'all know they cut her open and all of that, and obviously that's gonna hurt. So I don't want to show her when she's all messed up like that, when she's high, because I have vlogged myself when I am on medication for health related things, but that is my choice. I'm consenting to do that, and I don't want to show my cat off when she's not in her hottest moment. It's time for that last update of the vlog. So I did get a quarter of the way into Echo, and it's not doing a whole lot for me. It all falls down to the writing or formatting of the book. I'm just very confused. It's very disjointed because I don't know if all this is happening in chronological order, because our first little section was about Julia, and at her point of view, she's in like a cabin somewhere and she sees all these people who don't have eyes, and they keep getting closer and closer and closer. So she calls her brother like in a panic. She's like, oh my gosh, all that is happening. At first she doesn't like tell him, but yeah. So I'm like, is that, because that says prologue, so that would make me think that happened before all the rest of the events of the novel, but nobody is talking about what happened to Julia. Julia's not even talking about, and I'm like, how? Like, if I saw that, I would be talking about that for years to come. So it's very disjointed that way. The flow is awkward because right time I will start like a new section, I'm just like, what? I'm like, where is this in correlation to the last section I read? It's very confusing, and so as I said, it ultimately falls back on the writing, because characters, I don't feel anything towards them. Atmosphere, the atmosphere has been really good. Possibly a 5-star on atmosphere. Like, it felt so creepy. The writing really reminds me of, I think his name's Joe Hill. I have his book somewhere. I'm not seeing it. Nosferatu or whatever. Stephen King's son. That is who this reminds me of. The writing, like, it's that kind of creepiness, because this is a horror. And Otzi the Iceman got mentioned, who's one of my like hyperfixations. I love Otzi the Iceman. He was a man in Neolithic Europe who was murdered, and it's a real cold case if you look it up. But like one of the world's like first on record or like body found murder victims. Super interesting. And he got mentioned, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so then the plot again stems back to the writing, with me being very confused because I'm like, what is happening here? But the overall, so I guess that falls more on entry, because the plot, the idea of this sounds really interesting, but the way it's being executed, not so much. So let's go into my wrap up of the week now. I don't know how many books I hauled. My bad. I'm doing that different. I'm putting all my, for this half of the year, putting the books I hauled on in this notepad, because I think it's just more organized that way. So I've read over 100 pages every day this week, pretty much over 150 pages every day. Tuesday's the only day I didn't, and I read 149 pages that day. So I finished one book, that being The Paris Apartment, and I gave it a 3 stars, so a fine read. Didn't hate my time reading it. And I am currently reading 4 other books now. So it was an alright reading week. I'm content with where I'm at with my reading and with my reading goal. And oh, I didn't put in, okay, yeah, I do have a highlighter here, because there's the key down there to my reading journal. So I need to put that I started reading Alison by Lizzie Stewart. See, I didn't mess up the name that time, did I? So I'm going to end the vlog here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you made it all the way through, leave a white emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.